Hey, Vsauce, Michael here. Why, though? Why are any of us here? What's the purpose? What does it all mean? Well, sometimes, if we listen closely enough, when we ask,
if you're crazy.
why?
Sorry, chat. Thanks for 50, dude.
Mr. Cow, it has been a wonderful 9 months with
Chat,
me.
can we thank you, Brazen, again for the 50? Dude,
time in a row.
I almost
Can
forgot
I
it.
get
Thanks
a
so much
welcome
for
to
all
the
the donos the last
jungle?
couple of days, dude. You've been crazy.
XQCL.
Thanks so much, Rhythms. Welcome, dude. Okay, I paused it. Yes, I paused it.
We can hear an answer. And it's another question. Why? Why what? Our journey begins here.
Checking the rule book, but you won't find anything in there that says a dog can't play.
He's right. Ain't no rule said the dog can't play basketball.
Is that true? Is there really no rule against a dog playing middle school basketball? Vsauce Magic 8 Ball. Is there really no rule against a dog playing basketball?
True.
The answer is yes. Or is it? We have begun. The actor who played Air Bud, Buddy the dog, passed away in 1998 at the age of 9. Now take a look at this. Let's talk about World War I. On June 28, 1914, Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the throne of Austria-Hungary, and his wife Sophie were assassinated in Sarajevo while riding in a car. The car's license plate was AIII 118. They were killed by Gavrilo Princip, who said during his trial that he wanted the unification of all Yugoslavs, free from Austria. The event sparked a series of escalations in Europe, the July Crisis, which ultimately caused World War I, a war that ended on Armistice Day, November 11th, 1918. Pretty odd, huh? A spooky coincidence, if you will. But look, odd things happen all the time. Oddness is all around us, especially in the form of odd numbers.
Yeah, he's talking about...
The grip
he did another
they
video about
have
this.
on our reality is revealed when we release our grip. Notice anything strange? Under the influence of gravity, things move in an odd way. If something starts moving because of gravity, after, say, 1 second, it will have traveled some distance. Now, interestingly, during the next second, the distance it will travel will be 3 times as far as it moved during the first second. During the third second, it will travel 5 times as far, then 7 times, then 9 times, 11, 13, 15. Now, we used seconds, but it doesn't matter what time interval you use. You will always find this pattern. The odd number rule.
Really?
Hiding right there within the very phenomenon that keeps us on Earth are the odd numbers. More like God numbers, right? Is the odd number rule the face of the universe looking back at us? Well, here is something that Galileo wrote. Philosophy is written in this grand book, I mean the universe, which stands continuously open to our gaze. But it cannot be understood unless one first learns to comprehend the language in which it is written.
Well, how do you
It
guys
is
know
written
Vsauce?
in the
So
language of
everyone chat, they don't know.
mathematics. And its characters are triangles, circles, and other geometric figures, without which it is humanly impossible to understand a single word of it. Without these, one is wandering about in a dark labyrinth.
Ah, yes. I read that.
Before this pattern in the grand book of the universe was read and appreciated, people wondered why things fell. Maybe stuff just has a desire to be in its own proper place, right? Rocks with the earth, fire with the air. That makes sense, right? It was fun to imagine causes and write our own stories. But underneath our desire for explanations, a story was already being told. One that is written in the language of mathematics, measure, and relation. Now, many of these stories are being told all around us all the time, one on top of each other. But if we can look past those disturbances, Each isolated event is narrating a quiet, simple story, not of why the universe is, but of what the universe is.
We're not playing drums today.
Galileo recognized what this pattern spelled. Mathematically, it spells, hello, I am speeding up at a constant rate. And that was huge. All this time, for millennia, we had been wondering about the causes of gravity, its cosmic purpose, why it existed. But now, here was someone saying, yeah, cool, but like, what does it do? It makes things fall, great. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean to fall? Fall how? Now, the human mind alone couldn't answer that, but the universe was telling us. We just had to speak its language and read it. This is, I am gaining velocity at a constant rate, spelled with odd numbers. How? Well, what's an odd number? The concept of oddness comes from the observation that sometimes when
Guys,
you have a bunch of
I'm too
things,
lazy for this.
everything you have can be paired up. But sometimes
I'll
that
on this one
can't
first.
happen.
We'll see how it goes.
Now, when it's possible, when you can pair everything up that you have, it is said that the number of things you have is even. If you can't do that, then the number of things you have is odd. Now, what this means is that the number of objects in an even group is equal to 2 times n, where n is just the number of whole pairs that you have. So n is any whole number. N could be, for example, 50, giving us the even number of 100, which is also the number of legs centipedes have. Or is it? Centa 100, pede
Oh
feet.
no.
Having 100 legs is right there in the name. But it's only approximate. Centipedes have been observed to have anywhere from 30 to 345 legs. Now, 100 falls pretty nicely in that range. But every pair of legs
dude,
on a
they're so
centipede
disgusting.
is attached to a body segment.
Centipedes are
which
so
means that
fucking
in order
vile,
to have
dude.
100
Burn all of
legs,
them.
A centipede would need to have 50 body segments. But not a single species of centipede has an even number of body segments. 50 segments is nowhere to be found in the library of centipede genomes. So, while centipedes, on average, have a number of legs quite close to 100, they never naturally have exactly 100. Point is, 2n is the mathematical way to spell even. If I add just one more thing, the amount I have is no longer even, it's odd. If I add yet another
odd.
thing, I've added another pair, n has gone up by 1, and the number is even again. This means that an even number plus just one more will always be odd. Now that we know how to mathematically spell odd and even, we can move on to moving. If you and me hugged, well, that would be wonderful. We would both get so much out of it. But if during the hug you suddenly ran away
Unless-
from me while yelling, I'm leaving you at a velocity of 2 meters per second, well, I would be devastated. But I would know that deep down you still cared for me because you told me your velocity. And if I know your velocity, I can know just how far away you are from me at all times. All I have to do is take your velocity and multiply it by the number of seconds that have elapsed since you left. Now take a look at what a graph of your velocity would look like. Here we have velocity in meters away from me per second, and we have time in seconds since the hug ended. Now, if your velocity is 2 meters per second and that persists, then here's a graph of your velocity. But look at this. After a number of seconds have elapsed, like after 1 second, the distance you are away is just the rate times the time elapsed, 2 times 1. Well, that also happens to be the area of the rectangle bounded by a line coming up from the time, your velocity graph, and
Chat.
our axes. Well, that's pretty convenient.
Chat, I'm done with this. Chat, I'll watch this long time and I'm done with
After
this.
2 seconds,
I can't.
you are 2 times 2, 4 meters away from me, which is also the area of this shape we've created. After 3 seconds, you are 3 times 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 meters away. It's always the area. Well, that's pretty convenient. But let's change up the story. What if we hugged and it was great? I mean, just
Guys, I feel like I'm at school. Guys, I feel like guys, I dropped out of school. I'm done. I'm not watching the whole thing. I'm sorry, chat. I can't do this today.